And like we promised, we're having a conversation. I'm joined in studio by amazing guests. And the conversation we want to have is what is the way forward? What is next for Kenya? And I'm going to let the gentlemen introduce themselves. 3 gentlemen in studio. I'm the only lady. You know, after I called you guys when I realized, Allah, equality. Like, I'm here. So we'll start from the left.
My name is Eric Omondi. I'm a comedian, activist, philanthropist, mwanaharakati, mwanasarakasi, vitu mingi.
And a good friend of...
and a very good friend of the show.
Of the show.
Yes.
All right. My name is Okoth Opondo. I'm a concerned citizen and a community mobilizer, but I'm just a proud Kenyan. I'm happy to be here this morning.
Welcome.
Yeah, Honorable Kennedy Ondiek here, the coordinator of UDA South Nyanza, and Honorable Kennedy Ondiek, coordinator of UDA South Nyanza, and lawyer, and many things. Our father, many things.
Okay. All right. So, gentlemen, let's start off at the beginning, right? I'm going to start with you. Any of you can start. Like, do you feel like the president is listening? Let's start with you.
Yeah, basically I have to say that the president is listening and seriously listening because when the Gen Zs came out on the streets, they first of all told the president, "Oh yes, Mr. President, the finance bill is not good. It's going to injure Kenyans." He listened, despite the fact that it had gone to Parliament. When it came to his table, he said no to it. And even when the Gen Zs talked about the government, he tried to listen to them, and they took a backstage, dismissed most of his cabinet members, and now he's reconstituting it. So I don't know what he actually was supposed to listen to. We have the activists. Maybe from what they have, I will say whether the president has not listened. But the most listening president we have had this time is William Ruto, and he's really focused in changing the state of the country. It's only that there are challenges which he found in office. So I will listen to what they have, and then maybe
We'll talk about the challenges.
So.
You want to respond?
I think very first, mine is a big no. The president is not listening at all because let us just give it like the series of events that we've seen in the recent past. So the president came out and fired the whole cabinet and even gave his own reasons. And just prior to that, he had even been cautioning. We have records where the president was saying that if you don't perform, very soon you'll find yourself out of my government. So then 1 week later, what has changed about this the incompetence that he talked about? We've seen quite a number of them again have been brought back. And not just that. Kenyans are tired of politicians being given jobs everywhere. That is exactly what the president has done. So by saying that the president is listening, I think to some point maybe we are lying to ourselves because there's a very big difference between hearing and listening. I believe the president is not understanding what the Kenyans what the Kenyans are going through. Either he's totally not being advised or is ignoring the advice, or maybe just ignoring the voices and the sounds from the ground.
So you said he mentioned listening, not understanding.
Not understanding,
right?
yeah.
Eric, what are your thoughts on this?
The president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is tone deaf. He is not listening to anything or anyone. He's not even listening to himself, because the things he says and the things he does, as my brother said here, the president himself on live television fired cabinet ministers.
Yeah.
And then again on live television rehired. Nimesema nataka ugali na mboga. We do not want corruption. And corruption begins at the cabinet level. And the people that the president reappointed are the most corrupt. We have cases in court with people like, I don't want to mention names, but we know them, who have 15 billion. Let me mention the amounts so that people can connect worth of shillings in cases. Yeah, so the president is not only not listening, but also is going ahead to, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Those are the people who put him there, and we were asking the president to fire his entire government, starting from the cabinet, the permanent secretaries, especially the heads of parastatal, which is a myriad of tribalism and nepotism. So the young people, Gen Zs and millennials, were tired of the status quo, of corruption, tribalism, nepotism, and wastage.
I want to go back to, you said he's listening, right? And
Yes.
so let's look at the people that were axed out of the cabinet and the ones who are rehired, right? Or who have been re-nominated, right? What was the metric to use to remove and then decide these ones are okay to come back?
Yeah, personally, I want to say that I've not heard what they wanted the president to listen to, and he has not listened to. You know, I told you I want to listen to what they have, because you see, we have the Constitution of Kenya. You know, we cannot talk like if our Constitution has been suspended. We are not in anarchy. We are not in a situation where we need a transition government. We are not at war.
I hear that.
Yes. So now, I want to hear from them, because when they went to the streets, they said finance bill is wrong. It was deferred. And the president is acting in goodwill to ensure that he's changing and transforming his cabinet. What is wrong?
And the
What is
question
wrong
I'm
with the
asking-
persons? What did these people do? What did these ministers do? Because you see, when they pretend that they don't want to mention names, yet the names are on that list. If he feels that there's a name on that list which is corrupt, which has got issues, then why can't they point it out? Because we cannot have a country where we have a group of people outside. They are not having legitimate power. They have not been elected to be anything, and then they want to decide how our government structure is to be run. You cannot be running the president from outside, because we have a constitutionally elected president, and we have democratic process, which we'll have to wait for 5 years. We
And
have
I hear
time.
Kwamboka.
Honorable Ondieki, the question
Ondiek, not
Ondiek,
Ondiek. Thank
the
you.
question I asked is, what was the metric? Yeah, you've said it. You said he wanted to a cabinet that is working, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to remove. He had the people, and so he removed the ones who are, in your own words, corrupt, right? So are you saying?
No, I've not said he removed anybody who was corrupt. Omondi has said that there are people who are corrupt in this country, and if that list has got anybody who's corrupt or has got substantive question on his character or his performance of his office,
Yes.
then I wish they could say. That's why I said I wanted to come today. When you invited me, I said I would come. In fact, I want them to be clear as to what is
Honorable
that is
Ondiek,
wrong with the list.
just hold on.
The
The question I
does not mean that they cannot be
I
hired.
hear you.
Because-
The question
why were
I
they
have
fired?
asked you is, what was the Ali decide Aje, these 10 out, and then these ones we bring them back. That's what we're asking.
That is discretion of the president. I don't know.
But I think the president was also very clear when he was firing that Kenyans, I have listened to you. So what is this that he had listened to?
Yes.
That he decided to fire this whole cabinet, right? Then days later, he's bringing back the same people. Just a moment. And I'm so glad that you're also saying that he's an advocate, he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
That is very good, because, I mean, the law is there. And actually, when the people, most of the time, my biggest worry comes in with the president or even the leadership of the country. Just out of these 50 million, are these the only people that can work? Kenyans are already telling you that we are tired. These people, already the kind of life that they were showing the public, people are not even okay. We've had cases of cabinet secretaries showing opulence, and it's like a disregard to what Kenyans are going through. Then again, you bring them back. Some of them even have gone even out to apologize for the kind of lifestyle that they were living. Then again, you are bringing these people back. It is okay. So if we are saying that the president is listening, what I want to know exactly is, what is he listening to? Like, what is he changing?
On this platform, I want them to tell
So,
me
Kwamboka,
what do they want the
Kwamboka,
president to
let me tell you,
Yes.
my brother.
That's the question.
I think we'll go round and round in circles.
Yes. Be
Without
specific on what
mentioning
you wanted
the
the
elephant
president to do. Yeah.
in the room. The people of Kenya are the sovereign. And when you keep saying a group of people who are not elected,
Yeah.
the people of Kenya are sovereign. And from the president to the MCA, there are only 2,000 people.
All right. Now let's have a conversation about police abductions, police brutality, people that have been murdered. Okoth, you were abducted. What happened?
I think for mine is a very interesting case, because it was just immediately after the Mandamanos, and I'm very much aware that there are people just trying to it looks like the government is trying to struggle to understand, especially in the initial days, to try to understand who is planning this, or who is organizing, or who is funding this, because these are some of the questions that you keep getting all the time. But again, we also have to be very clear that, again, times have changed, things are happening differently. And at this moment, I think the past regimes were used to mandamanos of the protests, which they knew who were the organizers, and they just called them at night, or maybe they knew this is a political organization or any association, call them and stop it. At this moment, if you look at this, is something that's just happening across the whole country, and it becomes so difficult even to point out where who is in charge, because we don't even need to know who is in charge. They've a couple of times, I think I hear the government saying that they want to know who are the leaders. They say you are leaderless, you are formless, but it does not mean that these people are brainless again, because we know exactly what we want. We are young Kenyans. We understand what is happening. Kombox, when you're talking about statistics, over 75% of this nation fall below the age of 35. The median age of this country is at 19.5, actually, when we're looking at this. The average age of leadership in this country stands at above 40. So when we are talking about we want to be represented, we mean it, whether it is from the political side or even in the political appointments that are being done. So when he's asking about what did we want the president to do, can I give you an answer? Can I give you an answer to that? Yes. So the answer is, if I were the president was presented with a very great opportunity just to try even just kutufunika too much that is listening, why again just go back and pick the same people? What is wrong with just getting people who are competent, people that Kenyans at least can trust? Because Kenyans know we have people in this country who have served in different capacities and they can serve Kenyans. Why must it always be these same people? My big question today is the president held at ransom? Is it like he's maybe an Alipa Deni to some people? What is happening?
And we're going to answer that question. We'll come back with your answers and your responses. Also, remember, you can join the conversation on hashtag Kwambooks and Carry. You can also call us up on 0711 046 100 to chime in. We're talking about what's the way forward, because as a country, ni kama tumekwama ama tunaendelea mbele.
Get ready for the...
I think let's not go around in circles. We need to be clear as millennials and Gen Z what we want for the sake of our brother Ondiek.
Okay.
So first of all, the people of Kenya shouted very loudly, and that is the best form of a vote of no confidence in this government. Yeah. To an extent that young people went into the parliament buildings and sat on the speaker's chair. That was a vote of no confidence on the government of Ruto. Then Ruto pretended to listen and fire these people. Yeah. So what is happening currently is, and Ruto will be the last of his generation. Yeah. So what the president did yesterday, yeah, showed us that Kenyans are on their own. Yeah. Kenyans are on their own. And the gentleman has asked, Munataka nini? We want President Ruto to resign. Yeah, but that is for him to decide. Sindio, he's done. Anaza amuka resign ama akose ku resign.
Ama anaweza pelekwa referendum. Because there are 14 petitioners who've taken the case to court and said that they want a referendum to have Ruto and Rigiji removed from office. And that's constitutional. We want the president to resign. That's what we'd love to see. Yeah. Now, quarters that would ask. Is Gen Z or is this movement being mkunaraka, right? Because why not wait for 2027?
We can wait.
Hear me out. Because the question he was asking you off air, which is akitoka halafu, right? There's that conversation. And yesterday I did sit in the spaces that was hosted by Eric Latif about the petition. And you, from different quarters, of course, this conversation was had, and guys were asking, like, what happens? Can the constitution allow this? And what will be the way forward? And one of the commentators said, why not wait till 2027 so that you can have the structures in place? Because even if this crop is removed, it's still another crop of the same people that will come in.
Pombox, allow me quickly. One, we have a group of people calling themselves young people, though they are not young people because they are very old. Eric Omondi is not a young person. Yeah, when I talk about Gen Zs, I believe that is 26, and that's the highest. Opondo is not in 26. So they are old people who have failed to get the opportunities in government, and they are trying to dig their way, like you saw yesterday. The same old buggers have come back to dig their ways into the government by force. So I can tell you one, we have a country that must be run. And we are a constitutional state. It is a constitution which they always quote at Article 37. They must remember that Article 152 gives powers to the president to elect, select, and nominate some particular individuals to go to parliament. There is parliament that's going to do the vetting. Number two, we have also to agree that while that right is given to you at Article 37, you have also to know that there is Article 40, which has to protect other people's properties right. So you cannot come, imagine, Kwambox, in the morning you come here, you wake up and find some people who are demonstrating have broken into this your office, and now you can't work simply because they were busy telling the government to shut off. Yet, he talks about Kenyans who went to parliament. Kenya has got more than 55 million people. If some 100 people broke into parliament, can you call them Kenyans? They are 50 million Kenyans.
Kwambox.
So you cannot assume that the persons who went on streets
Ondiek.
are all Kenyans.
Ondiek.
What I can say, Eric,
Yes, sir.
you people don't take comedy too much. You have taken comedy too much to the roads. You are looking for followings, and you don't know that the government must be run. I can tell you for free.
Just a question here. So you're saying the people that went to parliament
There were
are not
people.
Kenyans?
You see,
and they were
no, they are Kenyans, but I'm also a Kenyan, and I was not on the streets. There are so many Kenyans who are not on the streets.
I hear you.
Ondiek,
So I'm just saying.
Gentlemen, one by one.
Ondiek has called my name. He said Eric, yeah?
Yes, I'm Ondiek also. You have called my name.
Yes,
too.
yes.
Yeah.
So Kwamboka, there's a we need to talk about what's happening and what we want and where do you want to go. There's a very big elephant in this room, yeah, and the elephant is this, yeah, that the government of William Samoei Ruto, the people of Kenya, gave a vote of no confidence.
I'm a person
This
of
gentleman is telling us that a protected area, the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya,
broken by a few
was
people.
broken into by a few people.
Gentlemen, I think we're digressing, and I've noted, and I said
So,
this.
you-
So
well,
I just want to move forward.
I was putting my points
on points
before he interrupted.
on facts.
Let me tell you, Kwambox, the most important thing that we have to understand as a country is that, one, we have resources which must be allocated so that we have progress going on in our country.
And I hear you. And let's talk about the appointments that you've just mentioned of people who took advantage, in your own words, of the scenario to get themselves appointed in parliament and some in cabinet. And some of the ones who've been mentioned, I have clips of them categorically stating that they would never work with this government, including Rigiji, who said he would never do a handshake, Ruto, who said no handshake speech, right? Joe, who said I'll never work for Ruto, right? Who's now in the Ministry of Mining and, and that. And so if you're saying that the president is listening, right, why would he choose these people? And why does it seem like it's a handshake? It's a political sort of agreement rather than, what there, in your words, would there have been other people, if really you're listening, to pick and say, this let's start anew. Let's start afresh.
Well, let me tell you, we have a president who was elected constitutionally, and he is in charge of the country. And the country had challenges. And in fact, such challenges were quoted by the Gen Zs and a few people who are supporting them. But it's okay. Now, the president said, let us talk. Because you see, you cannot say that you're faceless, leaderless, tribeless, nothingless, and you still want to direct what should happen in the country. The president called for a talk. The president said, fine, I want to listen to you. Remember, Article 37, which they usually quote, require that you present a petition. And a petition is a written document which outlines certain grievances which people should present to an authority. Did the Gen Zs have any particular written document to be presented to an authority?
It was a revolution. It's an uprising.
Okoth, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, let me come in on this. I think, Kombox, your question is very important. What you're asking that now, what is the way forward? You see, at times like this, whether we choose to look on who is right or who is wrong, what is very important that we must have a country. We are patriots. And we might choose to hate the government and those in power, but we still must love our country.
Yeah.
One of the reasons
I
as
want you
to
to
why,
speak about what he said about the faceless, tribeless, because this has been brought over, and even just today I saw Khalif Kario speaking about this, that because you remained faceless, tribeless, right, that individuals have come in and usurped a movement that was already that you started.
Sure.
What do you respond to that?
My response to this is just this simple. So, there's no problem with this being faceless or tribeless or leaderless, because actually it was not an association. It was not like one body that started this. This thing has been started as a result of the dissatisfaction that Kenyans have with what is happening. And I call it Kenyans. Actually, I choose not to call it at this point a Gen Z thing alone. When young people are affected in this country, everyone is affected. And I'm sure even Mr. Ondiek here, definitely, he must be concerned of what is happening in the country. When we are talking about this,
I think you should say
just a moment, Mr. Ondiek. Yeah. So as when when people come out, people cannot come out for no reason. For me today to show up and leave all the other activities that I'm doing, that I'm not going to work if I have work, I'm not going to school if I was, and to show up that there's a problem somewhere, then you just have to accept that there's a problem somewhere. What the government needs to do at this moment is not to struggle to identify who is the leader of this movement, but to try to address these issues that Kenyans are raising. Listen to me, Ondiek. The issues that Kenyans are raising, and these things are not new to Gen Zs. I mean, these issues have been here for some time now. Kenyans have been... Look at for example, when people are talking about education, is becoming expensive. When people are talking about food, when people are talking about water, when people are talking about security, what is just difficult with coming up with a formula and telling us this is how we're going to address this thing, instead of struggling to identify who is the leader of this movement? And if you see right now what the government is doing, going to bed with the opposition.
We had a short time.
Yes.
And when
that
he's not dealing with the fact,
the
fact in the...
But Mr. Ondiek also talks a lot.
Ondiek, you have to give us a chance. You must give us you must give him a chance to finish his point,
Ondiek,
and then you can respond.
Because actually I listened to you, Ondiek, and I'm just responding to you. I listened to you.
My brother.
No,
Can
I
we,
did not.
all right, we're going to take a short commercial break. 12 minutes to 8.
This government is not listening.
12 minutes to 8 a.m. Remember, you're on Kiss FM.
Simple.
That's actually what I'm responding.
We give you the hits. Now the hits give you cash.
And if you've just joined, man, we're having a hot conversation here with Eric Omondi, Okoth Opondo, and Honorable Kennedy Ondiek. Right? So, gentlemen, before we took the break, we're talking about what is the way forward, right? Is IPOA being honest with Kenyans? Gentlemen, is IPOA being honest with Kenyans? Over 50 Kenyans have lost their lives. Not a single person has been arrested. Videos have been shared. ODPP yesterday shared a report and said, I'll pick particularly the issue of Rex, where they say that nobody has stepped forward to as a witness, and that I think the video is not clear, right? Is IPOA being honest, considering people are being abducted left, right, and center? If you speak something, utabebwa. For some strange reason, they can find you, but they can't find the cops that do the killing.
Okay, let me take that one. So, if you look at how the institutions are run in Kenya, to be honest, sometimes we expect these institutions to be independent, but I think also the institutions themselves have been hijacked, because what they choose to do is very selective. That sometimes, I mean, they'll come out and tell you, we've achieved this. That time they'll come out and tell you, we are still struggling with this other one. So, for example, even before coming to the issue of IPOA, look at even how the case of, remember the case of the bodies you have found at Kware, how that case was handled, how the government was so quick even to come out and say, we've identified this, the gentleman who is like the prime suspect, while Kenyans have been very clear that, look, we even have photos and videos of officers who have been shooting people in public. How comes these other people, you are not using the same speed that you are using? So, to me, they're not really, I think it is like a selective honesty, because they know what they want to achieve by the end of the day. Anyway, it is also a narrative that has to be driven. So
with that narrative, there is a call to go to the streets at 11 a.m. and they're actually demanding justice for the fallen heroes. They're heading to the office of the president, to Harambee House, today at 11 a.m. And today, actually, in the news, the president was talking about asking the police to expedite the investigations, right? Now, since people are still going to the streets, what is the way forward? Right? There are Kenyans whose businesses are not, like if you talk to business people in this country, things are not good, right? You have parents who are saying they don't have school fees for their kids come August. Why? Because hawajatengeneza pesa. You have young people who are in Jengo, who are, in different businesses, who are not able to work because of the uncertainty in the past 1 month. What's the way forward, gentlemen?
Yeah, Kwamboka, that's what I was telling you. And it's very important we understand as a country. Those who are listening, those who are not listening, they have to understand, one, we have a country to run. And in this country, we have persons who have to run their businesses, those who have to go to work to earn their salaries. They have to do everything. If we are going to lose several days simply because a group of people, and I will still insist to call them a group of people, it might be the largest percentage of the country, but they are still a group of people. Because for me, I don't go to the street, so I'm not part of them. Can stop the government from operating. When you talk about IPOA is an institution of government. This government they don't want. They want IPOA to move in to investigate for them, and they don't want this same government. What does it mean? When you talk about looking for the persons who kill who?
Sorry, just repeat that part. You said IPOA, they don't want IPOA to investigate for them.
You see, when IPOA is working, they say the government is covering up. The other day, people were killed and they were found in a quarry. The government did very quickly to struggle to get the perpetrator. They are again saying that is government's cover-up. Tomorrow, government will arrest another police officer. They will call it a cover-up. So what do they want the government to do? I can tell you.
To find the police officers of the fallen heroes. Even the ones in video.
Let me tell you. Finding a police officer has the following challenges. Number one, you must first of all get the ballistic report. You cannot proceed with a video. And in fact, is there any clear video showing any police officer individually who has been presented and you can confirm that this person is this particular police officer? There's a ballistic report which has to be done on those cartridges, and there must also be action point that must make someone be arrested. When the police moved to arrest the person who was accused of the quarry issue, there were facts relating to it, and there were facts linking the person to the murder.
But Ondiek, you can understand that when it comes to other arrests, right? Those are expeditious. But IPOA, in fact, even their case,
when there was a clear video of a person who beat up a police officer, every Kenyan saw that video. Every Kenyan could see the face of that person. Is there any video that shows the clear face of a police officer who has shot dead a particular, and you can see it, then he can be arrested? You see, let the government work. Because, allow me back to the big elephant in the house. The elephant is not even IPOA, because the question is, Kenyans are died.
Yeah.
They died because they were either maimed by a process, because I personally cannot prove whether they were shot by police gun, but if the cartridges will be proved to be of police, which require ballistic report, which cannot be done in a day, that's okay. We can say, police to take action. Now, come to the question, and I have to tell you that as Kenyans must also be fed the truth that if the government must run, there is a need for a national dialogue. There is a need for a national talk so that we understand the problem of the country. The president called for that. He went on X. He went everywhere. He has been inviting anybody who can talk on behalf of these people to go and tell him, what do you want? Nobody goes there. Now, you asked me a question. Let me answer it.
What's the way forward?
The way forward is this. Let us say the president has taken an action as a leader to call anybody on the table. Those who came have come. And since there is no structure and leadership of the Gen Zs and those who may add, the government has involved those who are outside the government. In fact, this is a way involving the opposition members is a way to bring the national image which they want.
Okoth,
if there is a person in that
Ondiek,
cabinet,
I have to cut you short.
Good.
Okoth, what's the way forward?
The way forward is let the government do what is right. We do not need to be called for any dialogue. We are not in a time of war. The government knows that the reasons why people came out is because of the high cost of living. That's one of the reasons why people are really opposing the finance bill. Young people are on the streets demanding that can we please lower the cost of education? We are talking about health issues. We are talking about security issues. You do not need a dialogue to address these issues. Kenyans went to election to elect a government. Whether Ruto goes today or not, we just want a government that listens to people. And finally, also just a very good, an important message to every young Kenyan that is listening. It is now very clear that the politicians are not with us. And this thing is not about President William Ruto alone. This thing cuts across the whole country. Look at, even as we put pressure on the president, look at how the governors are also leading their lives and how they're leading their counties. This pressure needs to be pushed even to that level. Fellow young Kenyans, wherever you are today, here's the thing. We've caused a wind. It is now up to us whether to know whether we'll change that wind into an electricity or not. But we have to keep on pushing until we get what we want.
Eric, what's the way forward?
The way forward is whether President Ruto resigns or not, the young people have started a movement and it will bear fruit. It is like a woman who has gone into labor, and that child will be born. I want to tell them, malizeni muende. And the advantage we have is that they have regrouped together. So they're on the left, and Kenyans are on the right. And it is as clear as light of day that Kenyans are there on their own. For those young people who are listening to me, you started something, and that's why you see the government is rattled. We hoped, we prayed, we had faith that Ruto was going. He might still go, but even if he doesn't go, we have 2.5 years to go. Kwamboka, do you know the last time we had an earthquake in this country? Mm-hmm. A very long time ago.
It was last week.
No, that's before last week.
Yeah.
A very long time ago. Everything is shifting, including tectonic plates.
Wow.
If you're a young person, and I know the games they're playing, we will ensure that every young person has a national ID. We will ensure that every young person has a voter's card. Because as my friend has said here, 70% of Kenyans are young people. And let me tell you, what akina Jomo Kenyatta and Oginga Odinga did, that was freedom. What akina Matakarua did was the second liberation. President William Samoei Ruto knows, and if he doesn't know, I will tell him now, he's the last of his generation. Malizeni muende.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making the time to be here this morning. We're 2 minutes into the next hour, and I couldn't be able to take any of your calls. But remember, you can share with me your comments on our WhatsApp line. That's 0702 946 100.
How bad do you want cash? Oh, man. What?
You know I want it.